Hey everyone, welcome back to Universal Canvas, where we dive deep into the most intriguing and controversial moments in crime history. Today, we're unraveling one of the darkest chapters in the annals of American sports, the Chicago Black Sox Scandal. It's a tale of greed, betrayal, and the corruption that shook the very foundation of baseball. So grab your popcorn, settle in, and let's step back in time to 1919. Let's get started. Baseball, often dubbed America's pastime, was more than just a game in the early 20th century. It was a symbol of the American dream, a beacon of hope and entertainment for millions. But in 1919, that pristine image was forever tarnished by the actions of 8 men who played for the Chicago White Sox. This team, a powerhouse in Major League Baseball, found themselves at the center of a scandal so shocking that it almost destroyed the sport itself. But who were these men? What drove them to commit such an act of betrayal, and how did it all unfold? Let's start from the beginning. The Chicago White Sox were a force to be reckoned with in the late 1910s. Owned by Charles Comiskey, the team had a roster packed with talent. Names like Eddie Cicotte, the ace pitcher, and Shoeless Joe Jackson, one of the greatest hitters of all time, struck fear into the hearts of their opponents. Despite their prowess on the field, all was not well behind the scenes. Comiskey, despite his reputation as a shrewd businessman, was notoriously cheap. His players were grossly underpaid, often treated poorly, and this simmering discontent set the stage for the scandal to come. Let's paint a picture here. It's the summer of 1919, and the White Sox are on a tear, dominating their competition. But inside the clubhouse, the atmosphere is tense. The players feel unappreciated and underpaid. Enter the gamblers. Baseball, even then, was not free from the influence of gambling. There were whispers, rumors, and suggestions that games could be fixed. And as the White Sox marched towards the World Series, those whispers grew louder. Arnold Rothstein, a New York gangster and professional gambler, saw an opportunity. He had the connections, the money, and the influence to pull off something big. And what could be bigger than fixing the World Series? Rothstein didn't get his hands dirty. Instead, he relied on intermediaries, the likes of Sleepy Bill Burns and Billy Mayhard, former players turned gamblers, and Sport Sullivan, a well-known bookmaker. These men approached White Sox first baseman Arnold "Chick" Gandil with a proposition. Gandil, unhappy with his salary and sensing an opportunity to make a significant amount of money, agreed to the plan and began recruiting his teammates. This was no easy task. Convincing professional athletes to throw away their chance at glory for a wad of cash was risky. But Gandil managed to persuade 7 other players: Eddie Cicotte, Claude "Lefty" Williams, Oscar "Happy" Felsch, Fred McMullen, Charles "Swede" Risberg, George "Buck" Weaver, and the legendary Shoeless Joe Jackson. Each had their reasons. Some were motivated by money, others by resentment towards Comiskey, and a few by a mix of both. The stage was set. The 1919 World Series pitted the Chicago White Sox against the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds were a strong team, but most experts believed the White Sox, with their formidable lineup, were the favorites to win. What the public didn't know was that behind the scenes, plans were already in motion to ensure the outcome was anything but fair. Game 1. October 1st, 1919. Eddie Cicotte, the White Sox's star pitcher, took the mound. Cicotte, known for his incredible control and command, was off his game. He hit the first batter he faced, signaling to the gamblers that the fix was on. The Reds won that game 9-1, and whispers of a fix began to circulate. Over the next few games, it became evident to those paying attention that something was amiss. Key players made uncharacteristic errors, and the White Sox seemed to be playing below their usual standard. But not everyone was in on the plan. Buck Weaver, for instance, was aware of the conspiracy but chose not to participate. Despite playing his heart out, Weaver's efforts were overshadowed by the intentional blunders of his teammates. Shoeless Joe Jackson, one of the most debated figures in this scandal, maintained that he played to win. His performance in the series, statistically speaking, was impressive. He hit .375 with 12 hits, but his involvement in the scandal has been a topic of contention for decades. As the series progressed, the fixers began to encounter problems. The promised money wasn't being paid out as agreed. Frustration grew among the players, and by Game 5, Some of them decided to play to win, fearing they might not get paid at all. The White Sox won games 6 and 7, but by then, the damage was done. The Reds clinched the series in Game 8, winning the World Series 5-3 in the best-of-9 format used that year. With the series over, the whispers of a fix turned into a roar. Sports writers, fans, and even players from other teams started to voice their suspicions. The integrity of baseball was now in question. In 1920, almost a year after the scandalous series, a grand jury was convened to investigate the allegations. The truth, or at least parts of it, began to emerge. Players confessed to their involvement. Fingers were pointed, and the once great team was tarnished forever. Now, let's talk about the aftermath. The trial of the 8 players accused of throwing the series was a media sensation. The players, now dubbed the Black Sox, faced public scorn and legal scrutiny. During the trial, some players recanted their confessions, claiming they had been coerced or misrepresented. Despite this, in 1921, the jury acquitted all 8 players, citing a lack of hard evidence. But their acquittal in court didn't mean exoneration in the eyes of the public or the baseball establishment. Enter Kennesaw Mountain Landis, a former federal judge appointed as Major League Baseball's first commissioner. Landis was determined to clean up the sport and restore its integrity. In one of his first acts as commissioner, he issued a lifetime ban to all 8 players, regardless of the jury's verdict. His statement was clear. No player who throws a ball game, no player who undertakes or promises to throw a ball game, no player who sits in conference with a bunch of crooked ball players and gamblers where the ways and means of throwing a game are discussed and does not promptly tell his club about it, will ever play professional baseball. The bans had far-reaching consequences. Shoeless Joe Jackson, one of the greatest hitters in the history of the game, was barred from ever playing again. Despite his protests of innocence and his stellar performance during the series, the ban stood. His story became a legend, immortalized in films like 8 Men Out and Field of Dreams. Fans still debate his guilt or innocence to this day. So, what were the broader implications of the Black Sox scandal? For one, it led to significant reforms in how baseball was governed. The role of the commissioner was established to ensure the integrity of the game. Baseball became more vigilant in monitoring gambling activities and maintaining the sport's purity. The scandal also had a profound cultural impact. It shattered the idyllic image of baseball as a purely wholesome pastime and introduced a more cynical view of professional sports. But let's not forget the human element in all of this. The players involved were not simply villains. They were complex figures shaped by their circumstances. Underpaid and underappreciated, they saw an opportunity to change their fortunes. Some, like Chick Gandil, were more willing participants, while others, like Buck Weaver, found themselves entangled in a web they couldn't escape. Their actions, whether driven by greed, desperation, or a sense of injustice, remind us that behind every scandal are real people with real motivations and flaws. And what about the fans? The scandal rocked the baseball world, leaving fans disillusioned and heartbroken. Trust in the sport was severely damaged, and it took years for baseball to fully recover. The 1920s, however, also saw the rise of new heroes like Babe Ruth, who helped rejuvenate the sport and restore its place in the hearts of Americans. As we wrap up this deep dive into the Chicago Black Sox scandal, it's clear that this event was a turning point in sports history. It serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked greed and the importance of integrity in professional sports. The legacy of the Black Sox lives on, not just in the records and films, but in the lessons learned and the reforms that followed. And there you have it, the rise and fall of the Chicago Black Sox, a story of dreams turned to dust by the lure of easy money. The scandal that forever changed baseball serves as a stark reminder of the thin line between heroism and infamy. What do you think? Were these players victims of their circumstances, or were they architects of their own downfall? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of baseball's darkest chapters, give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on our explorations of history's most intriguing crimes. Thanks for watching Universal Canvas, where we keep history alive and kicking. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and remember, sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. See you in the next video.